Former CEO of Sri Lankan Airlines, Kapila Chandrasena, and his wife surrendered to the CID. Attorney General's Department informs the Supreme Court the government decided to revisit and review the Sri Lanka-Singapore Free Trade Agreement. Trump acquitted by Senate in impeachment trial.
Good afternoon. This is Lunchtime News on TV1. First, in a top story this afternoon, the former CEO of Sri Lankan Airlines, Kapila Chandrasena, and his wife Priyanka Anura surrendered to the Criminal Investigations Department this morning.
Police media spokesperson SP Jali Sinaratna, speaking to Newsfirst, said CID detectives are recording statements from Chandrasena and his wife, and thereafter the duo would be arrested and produced in court. On Monday, Attorney General Dappula de Oliveira directed the CID chief to arrest and produce former CEO of Sri Lankan Airlines, Kapila Chandrasena, and his wife Priyanka Anura as suspects on charges of money laundering in the Sri Lankan Airlines Airbus refleet deal, which involved a bribe of $2 million for the purchasing of 10 aircraft from Airbus. That very evening, Port Magistrate Ranga Dissanayaka issued the warrants for their arrest.
ප්‍රංශ යාබස් සමාගම විසින් ශ්‍රී ලංකන් ගුවන් සේවයේ හිටපු ප්‍රධානියෙකුගේ ඒ කියන්නේ ප්‍රධාන විධායක.
A bribe of $2 million have been paid by a company to a CEO of Sri Lankan Airlines at the time by Airbus. Although this is not revealed through our judiciary here, it was revealed in England. I state with responsibility that Suren Ratwatta robbed millions and billions of public funds when cancelling the agreement. The CEO does not usually get involved in these transactions. Who were the directors at the time? The directors met at Speaker's official residence. I presented it in Parliament. Kapila Chandrasena was the CEO. During the 52-day government, he was made the chairman of Lanka. When he was at Telecom, he received benefits. He was labelled as a fraud. But even with that background, he was made the chairman of Lanka. How did the government build that much of confidence in him?
Rifkan Badiuddin, the brother of former Minister Rishad Badiuddin, was remanded until the 20th of February by Colombo Chief Magistrate Lanka Jayaratna.
He was arrested for preparing false land deeds and selling 2 plots of land in Talaimana, which belonged to another person. Detectives from the Criminal Investigations Department informed court today the complainant in the case is threatened on multiple occasions by phone and added a separate investigation on telecommunication records is underway. The Colombo Chief Magistrate said, based on the material produced in court, granting bail to the suspect would have an influence on the evidence of the prosecution. Thereby, the request by the defence was dismissed and the suspect was remanded. The Criminal Investigations Department was ordered by the Colombo Chief Magistrate to report the progress of the inquiry to court on the 20th of February.
The Attorney General's Department informed the Supreme Court this morning the government of Sri Lanka decided to revisit and review the Sri Lanka-Singapore Free Trade Agreement, which was signed during the previous administration.
The stance was officially communicated to the Supreme Court by Senior State Counsel Nirmalan Vigneswaran, appearing for the Attorney General. Supreme Court Justices Vijit Malalgoda, LTV Dehidaniya and P. Padman Surat Sena decided to postpone considering the petitions filed seeking the FTA be made void to the 13th of June.
The employees of state departments and corporations are engaging in a protest opposite the Presidential Secretariat.
Former dengue prevention officers of the Health Ministry, former employees of the Ceylon Petroleum Corporation and many workers of a few government ministries are protesting outside the Presidential Secretariat's office. They are demanding that the government increase their employment contract time period and reduce anomalies in salaries. Meanwhile, retired Tri-Forces officers and retired officers of the Gampaha Cooperative Centre are protesting as well. They are demanding their pension payments be paid soon. According to our correspondent, there is heavy traffic in the area due to the protests.
The Cabinet has approved a move to provide unemployed graduates with training at state institutions beginning on the 1st of March. Co-Cabinet spokesperson Minister Bandulu Wadana expressed the following views at the Cabinet meeting today.
2012 වර්ෂයේ සිට මේ දක්වා උපාධියක් ලබා සිටින
The program to provide employment at state institutions to unemployed graduates from the year 2012 will begin on the 1st of March. Yesterday, President Gotabaya Rajapaksa presented a draft bill explaining the process in detail. The graduates will be recruited under a structured plan for a training period of 1 year. During that period, leadership training as well as a career guidance pathway program will be implemented.
වෙන වෘත්තියාභිමුඛ පුහුණුවක් ලබා දෙනවා සෑම උපාධිධාරියෙකුට.
It's a tragic news. One person was killed and over 30 injured in a bus accident near the junction of the Colombo-Trincomalee main road.
The accident occurred at 4:20 this morning when a private bus flying from Colombo to Trincomalee collided with an SLTB bus. The two buses had toppled off the road and one person died. Fifteen injured passengers have been admitted to the Kambalagamuwa Koviladi Hospital and the others have been transferred to the Trincomalee Base Hospital. Further investigations are underway into the incident.
One Sri Lankan youth living in Dubai had died due to a gas cylinder explosion.
The explosion was caused when the deceased was preparing food at his residence on the 4th of February. The deceased youth is a 24-year-old named Janit Madushan, a resident of the Koskoda area.
රූම් එකේ කෝල් කළා මට කිව්වා මෙහෙම ජනිට පොඩි පිච්චි තුවාලයක් වෙලා තියෙනවා. එයාගේ අත්වැදීමකින් උනේ හොස්පිටල් එකේ ඉන්නේ බය වෙන්න එපා හෙටම ටිකට් කපලා ඊට පස්සේ එයාට අපි කෝල් ගත්තා. එළි රෑ වෙනකම් කෝල් ගත්තා. කෙනෙක්වත් ආන්සර් කරේ නැහැ. ආන්සර් කරන්න නැති බාර දවස් දෙකක් විතර ගියන් පස්සේ තමයි ආයෙ යාලා කෝල් එක ආන්සර් කරේ. ආන්සර් කළා කිව්වේ බය වෙන්න එපා. මෙයාට ආයි චුට්ටක් අමාරු හින්දා හොස්පිටල් එකකට මාරු කරා කියලා.